Okay, thank you, Will. I'd like to welcome everyone, guests and everyone tonight to the Township of Nipissing meeting, Tuesday, April 16th at approximately 6:37. I'll ask first if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none again, we'll move on to committee reports. And I'll try to get together, and I'll start with Councillor Yam.
I do tonight. It's been a while. We have our museum manager and 2 summer students are in place already. Great work by the staff. I think that's the earliest I ever remember. These students will be able to work on their own this summer, so that'll free up certain counselors and stuff. The priorities that were discussed, cataloging, installation of Past Perfect software, update was provided, working with neighboring museums. Most of them aren't open right now to discuss the Russell Road and whatever's going to happen this summer. So I imagine Jillian will be in the next while as they open up and get contacts. That'll start. Candy selection, Jillian found new suppliers. We're going to share with Commanda to save some cost in shipping and whatnot. Grant application for the foundation repair was updated and submitted, and appointment for inspection by an engineer for 2024 has been scheduled to see if we can.
It's done.
Oh, good. Okay, and we had quite a discussion on the future of genealogy, which was fantastic that night. So working on the first settlers that come here, what route they took. Did they come by water across the lake or did they come up the Russell Road? So anyway, and our next meeting is we will be opening on weekends, June 15th and 16th, 22nd, 23rd, because our students are still in school. And then we'll be ready to go. And May 1st is our next meeting. That's all I got.
Okay, that's quite a bit. It's good. I look forward to another season at the museum. So next we go to Councillor Foote. I know she was at a meeting last night.
We had rec committee last night. So we started rec committee and thanking our volunteers. And I have to say thank you 100 times over. And I think it stayed with me all night when they said every moment matters. And that's the theme. So that stayed with me full time, right? We can't do without them. So some great things going on. We had bottle drive. We picked up bottle drive this week to the tune of about $394. It's picking up again. Summer's the year, and so it'll be a much bigger job. And thank you for those that came to help out. Easter egg hunt was a good success. We had 33 kids registered and 28 showed up. We did the hunt. We had some great fun, some bags, some great pictures, and parents were really good about it. So we're talking next year about changing it up a little bit and doing something a little different, maybe not going to hunt for Easter eggs, but maybe go taking some pictures at some of the different things around the community, like go take your picture where the trucks fill up, that kind of thing. So some fun stuff with that and come back. And it'll be fun. Teen dance is coming up in May, and we have a new volunteer for teen dance. Yay. So she's willing to take it on. She's great. And they're going to bring pop and chips, and we'll bring candy with it and the debit machine with it also. So I think that'll help some of the kids, and maybe not carrying money and that kind of thing. So it'll be good. And we're working on combos and maybe, 2 or 3 different items for a specific price. So I think that'd be great. New DJ, so we'll try the new DJ this time and go from there. And I think the best part about the teen dance is parents have to come to the door to pick up their children. We will not allow them out the door. Once they get in the door, they're stuck with us. And then the parents have to come to the door to pick them up. And I think as a parent of those age kids, that would make me super happy.
Yep.
Next coming up, rather quickly, and we're working on a card game night. So we're talking about euchre. So coming in and you won't know who you're playing until you walk in the door and we pair you up with a team. So that would be really cool. We'll bring the events with us, the snack with them, and we'll set that up for that event and away we go. The nicest part about it is the casino donated 20 decks of cards for our game night. Kind of cool.
Thanks.
To be determined and future forward, we're looking at a foot care clinic, but we're really gonna dig in and find some more information before we move forward on anything like that. So we'll dig in. Soccer registration is coming. We have 74 kids registered already. Be great fun. Yeah, so, and lots of volunteers. I think we're in a good shape for volunteers, and we just keep trying to scare up more volunteers everywhere I go. I'm trying to scare them up everywhere I go. So registration's open till the 30th. And, well, you're gonna go take care of some donations that may be coming our way for soccer.
We are.
And pick up some donations where we've been offered some donations, and we'll bring it into the township and maybe help cut some costs. And then we're also gonna donate some of are they called beanies? What are they called?
The beanies, little vests.
The vests?
Yeah.
We're gonna donate some of our vests that we have to the school to help them out a little bit, for the JKs and the kindergartners, to help them. So that'll be fun. Commanda has their spring dance coming up April 20th. May 5th, they have an indoor-outdoor market, but it's mostly commercial exhibitors. And then they have their June 11th meeting. So that's perfect. And our next meeting for them is, for the rec committee is, I don't know. When's our next
May
one?
13th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's it for me. Just
Okay, you're done.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you, that's good, and it was good to see everybody there last night. And Counselor Kirky,
Okay, I have the public library, but also a little blog on what's happening with North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority and our source protection. Our lead on source protection left, took employment with another water protection authority down south. And we have a meeting on April 24th. And I couldn't get anybody to answer my calls today, so I'll find out at the meeting on April 24th. That's that for that. Now, for the library, we had a meeting last night. They are having a meeting with the town of Powassan tonight at their council meeting about budgeting for the library. But we have the report on our, we call it, on our business arising was the grants update for the OTF resiliency grant. We are going to get it, which is good. The quiet room has already started being built. Should be in within the next couple of weeks. On that note, the designer, the architect, donated his services. Yes, so that was nice. They're having a raffle for a quilt to raise money for the builder toys, and builder toys it's a corner where we put kids in and they have toys that you can build stuff with, so it piques their imagination instead of just thumbing a phone. We also have from the grant, which is $22,400, and that gives us 8 hours a week for an employee for the summer for, I think, 9 weeks, 9 or 11 weeks, one or the other. Seniors, we'll find out in May about the seniors grant, and it's a $7,000 grant. The purpose of that is to bring the seniors in twice a month on Thursdays for soup and sandwiches, and we will have speakers to discuss, prescriptions, seniors' health, summer cooling, all of that, you know, the stuff as we get older, we're all probably gonna go to one of these at some point. Canada Summer Jobs, we got the okay for one student from June, July, and August, the end of June. So that's another probably 11 weeks, 9 to 11 weeks. We're still waiting on the hydro grant. We haven't heard anything from that. And then Commonwealth Insurance. I'll give this to Chris later so she can share it with the rest of the group here. It's called, they have a program. They put aside $350,000 a year for people to apply for it, and some of the local communities around Magnetawan, down that way, they've gotten this grant before. So it's called the Learning and Engagement Accelerator Fund, and it supports projects of a capacity from $10,000 to $50,000. So, and it's an Ontario-only grant. So there's a whole bunch of criteria here for it. We'll be applying for this fall. We got the information on it a little late, but we'll be applying for it this fall because they do make their decisions in December on this one for the following year. So I'll give that to you. You can go with that. Also, the town of Lincoln County. Lincoln County has submitted, remember the letter we submitted to the province? Lincoln County has submitted a letter to the province as well. So we'll probably hear about that at Phenom too. I believe that they're going to be bringing the library and museum thing up at Phenom about the lack of funding for that. So anyway, and that said, our next meeting is, I didn't write it down. Okay.
I don't have it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Anyway, next month, same time.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have.
It'll be interesting to see how things go at the Powassan meeting tonight. So as we continue to follow up on what Shelley said, because there are several people out there and a few in here, I just want to say on behalf of council and myself, I want to take the moment to acknowledge and thank all of our volunteers, committee members, and the community during National Volunteer Week. The theme, as you mentioned this year, is Every Moment Matters. It's true now more than ever. I think every day that I coach those soccer kids, every moment matters. Volunteers in our community share their time, their resources, and support the various programs and events the township offers. Their commitment to the community's well-being while strengthening inclusivity is demonstrated through their passion for engaging and supporting the community. Volunteers matter, and we want to thank them all for their ongoing dedication. And I look forward to seeing them all, I think sometime in May when we start soccer season. So look forward to seeing you on the field, on the pitch. I have two committees, one, and Dave and I have already discussed this today, but I've got a couple phone numbers now if people are interested. Sturgeon, Nipissing, and French River Advisory Committee. Those of you that live on the lake, the average level as of Monday was, this is from sea level, it was 196.02. Since March 19th, the lake has risen 74 centimeters, according to them. Although we didn't experience as much rainfall locally, the watershed, so north of it was around Temagami, Martin River, close to Martin River, they had 72 millimeters in one day, and this comes to us from Hydro-Quebec. The lake is currently above the maximum navigation level as noted by all the weight on my docks and Dave's, and is continuing to climb. Forecast shows the level will approach, and this is called the maximum non-damage level. It's already damaging, but they call it the maximum non-damage level of 196.22 in the next 3 to 5 days. So that's possibly 8 more inches. They're forecasting it's gonna go up at least in the next 3 to 5 days. I was looking on April 8th, they were discharging 196 cubic meters at the Chaudière. Today, they're discharging 314 cubic meters, but the inflow in is 407 meters. So you figured out it's almost 100 more coming in than it's going out. So it's going up. I was at my meeting today and I get a call. Do I need to put barrels on my dock? And I'm like, most assuredly.
Yeah.
The weekend on one day, the inflow, so I said today, or the inflow is 994 cubic meters a second coming in on one of the days on the weekend. Now, the water level and flow info will be moving to a new website, which is convenient. Right now, it's gonna be down possibly for 2 weeks. But they did give us a phone number. So if you need info about flooding or anything like that, the number is 1-866-763-2300. And the website, and I'll give it to Chris or John Paul, and they can put it out because it's PWGSC, which is Public Works, and something else. But it's migrating to a new website in the next few weeks. So I think the phone number might be the best, but I'll put this on the website if anybody wants to check and wonder why the water's coming up. My answer when they say, when's the water gonna go down? When's it gonna quit raining? Okay, so if you can tell them that. And it's neat, in the original package that we got from 1886, it said, we will need no dams as soon as we can control the weather. But up 100 years more and we still aren't doing it.
Would have been nice if they had a ran her out at 314, maybe 4 or
A
5
week
days
ago?
before this rain come. They knew it was coming.
The other thing I had Pines meeting, and so that's in Wausau, we prioritized for projects for funding for this calendar year. Went over quotations for gardeners, soil quotes, drainage and driveway repair, parking lot sweeping, and a 24/7 plumber coverage. And then in CASA, investment and management were present to go over investment options after determining our possible long and short-term needs. And finally, we received info. We looked at expanding the Pines. It's 20 units now. We looked at expanding, like the 1 and 2 bedroom built on slab in East Ferris on the right side on the way to the rink. And we received info today from the district social services. And quote, this time there's no money. And so they said, try again in a year or two. No expansion at this time. And they pointed out that there are 70 seniors units in Powassan, Meadowview, and the Pines, so we're well served. So that was the end of that. And our next meeting is May 21st. So that's all I have. And as far as the lake goes, call that number. I'm sure you'll get a lot of satisfaction. And now we move on somewhere on the agenda. I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes. Okay, Councillor Yem. Councillor Kirky. It's number R 2024-89, moved by Councillor Yem, seconded by Councillor Kirky, that the minutes of the council meeting held April 2nd, 2024 be adopted as published. All in favor? Carried. I did get the other page there. Checking. Next, if you're looking along, number 4. the declaration, I need a mover and a seconder, Counselor Foote and Counselor Kirby. And I'll read this in its entirety, number 2024-90. Moved by Counselor Foote, seconded by Counselor Kirby. Whereas per section 2591D of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, council has received the resignation of Tom Butler from their seat on council. Now therefore be it resolved that as per section 2621 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the council of the corporation of the Township of Nipissing hereby declares the seat of one councillor to be vacant, that the appointment procedure for filling a vacancy on council will be used for the selection of a council member. And I have Tom's letter here and will respond at a later date. We've got a mover and seconder to accept this. I ask all in favor. Carried. And I've already responded to Tom, but I missed him on the ride in tonight. So we move on to number 5, follow up on the non-compliant zoning uses of linked speech. And
We don't have any new information.
we have no new information, and we have two different resolutions. We'll do the first one. If it passes, there won't be a second one. The two are to leave it as is, or to where does it say?
Barriers.
Right. Hold on, someone. Okay, barriers, yes. And the other is barriers. I want to point out that in our discussion, there will be no guardrail barriers because we still want to leave access to individuals, but the complaint really was directed to commercial use. So I'm going to read this, but I need to move her into second first. And the number. And even,
So if we just leave it as is, there won't be a resolution, just this.
okay. So, I need a mover and seconder, Counselor Foote and Counselor Yam. And now, because you discussed it at length, you can support this or you can rescind it. So it's number R 2024-91, moved by Counselor Foote, seconded by Counselor Yam. Whereas council has identified a zoning non-compliant use of unopened Lakeshore Road allowance in front of Lynx Beach. Now therefore, direction is given to place barriers along the unopened Lakeshore Road allowance owned by the Township of Nipissing to limit vehicle traffic along the beach. All in favor? Carried. Yep, we no longer have to read the second. That goes in binder, and then road superintendent, it will be a barrier just of rocks so that you can still skidoo, four-wheel, whatever with that, but abandoning the larger bungalows. So, okay, you guys can stay or you can leave, whatever you'd like. You know, I know that other than that, you've already listened to my lake report, but now we'll go on to the 2024 operating and capital budget, which I now step aside and Chris takes over because I just will pay attention. Thank you, Garnet. Yeah.
Thanks, Garnet.
Okay,
All right, so we're gonna start with the operating budget. This is just a review. We will be going to our next council meeting with a half an hour for public input at the beginning of the meeting. So we will be inviting input from the public. Next page. So what we're looking at with this draft budget is a levy increase of 7.34%, tax rate increase of 6.15. This will impact per $215,000 of assessment, approximately $124.77 for residential.
Per year.
All right, so levies. I have notes. I have notes.
And this is all in your binders?
Yeah.
If
The council is
you
given the
can't see
binders
that,
just with the levy information. The levies are things that we don't have any say in. These are given to us that we must pay. So this includes social services, health unit, MPAC, policing, ambulance, and the library. And we're also committed to the health center contribution of $10,000 a year. We only have a few more years of that. But starting off for the grants, Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund went down by 28,500 this year. So for every 1% levy increase, it's approximately $31,600 to put it in perspective for us. Formerly gas tax, the Canada Community Building Fund went down 1,748. And our OSIP, which is Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, went down 26,814. We use the Canada Community Building Fund and the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund for road projects. Is meant to help us with the downloading of different programs from the province. So combined, from the grant perspective, we lost $57,000 this year. So that's approximately 2% of the levy. So levies went up. All of our levies went up. MPAC went up $809. Policing went up $2,870. Social services went up $7,092. East Home went up $4,757. Health unit went up $1,667. EMS went up $5,565. And the library went up $8,706. So all of those increases combined came to $31,468, which is another approximate 1%. All right, that explains that. Next. Right now, we currently have $2.5 million in a GIC. That's from our reserves, so we do have the money to invest, as was pointed out by our auditor. We're expecting an increase in our investments. Our service fees are going up with different applications that we'll be accepting. So I should point out that when we're comparing for this budget, we're using the actual figures from last year. So we always plan on or budget for the maximum number of consent applications we would receive, etc. So that's why there's a difference. We did not receive our maximum last year. Salaries and benefits, that's quite a jump, but again, we're going to actual. Last year, we had several staff hours that weren't used, so we're using those actual figures. Asset management, we're looking at, last year we did a roads needs study. This year, we need to do building condition studies, and that should bring us almost up to date for our asset management plan, which is due July the 1st. Web page, we're not anticipating any large changes there. Council donations is always set at 5,000. Strategic plan implementation is for our newsletters. Pay equity, that's the $24,000 for the human resources study, which is almost complete. Council professional development, all of the different conferences and council expenses include cell phones and different things. Administration. Next one.
I can't get the change up there
Okay.
because it's sharing on the video.
Oh,
It won't do both apparently.
okay. All right,
I'm working on that.
I'll be very clear. So administration is our next page. In here, we have our propane expenses. I'm not anticipating, So what happened last year was we had an ice event at our garage, which broke our propane lines and drained our tanks at the garage. So that's included in repairs for this year in our capital, but that's why our actual expenses for propane were much higher. So we're not anticipating that happening again. Hydro expenses go up. We're anticipating 16%. Phone expenses we budgeted down 11% only because we bought all new phones for new council, so that expense won't be in there. Insurance expense, we're anticipating a 12% increase. Professional development went down 3%. Administration supplies went up 11%. We will be transitioning to Town Suite. We also have CGIS taking over the cemeteries, different things like that, so those are programmed in. Audit fees, we anticipate a 3% increase. Legal fees, we're anticipating a 5% increase. That may go over, depending, it's hard to tell with that one. Planning fees, we took down 69%. So from, I think we were at 18,000 last year is what we budgeted. We went down to 5,000. That's around the norm for what we normally run. Last year, we had the Ontario Land Tribunal for the trailer bylaw. That was what our planning fees were last year. Integrity Commissioner, we always budget for 2,500 and hope for the best. Next is the fire department. Revenues stay generally the same. Long-term debt is for the payment on our side-by-side and our pickup truck. That's, yep. This year will be the last year. There will be a few payments next year. Maintenance and supplies for the stations up 7%. New equipment up 37%. We always budget 10. The actual was 73 last year. Uniforms and PPE. Again, we budgeted 17 last year. We used 14.4, so that it really isn't changing. Fire prevention, same thing, 45,000 or 4,500 is our usual budget. Equipment, maintenance and certification up 12%. Firefighter points and stipend up 3% per what was approved. We should also mention that in the salaries and increases on the previous slides, with the non-full-time regulation for OMERS, that will now be offered to our firefighters, and CPP will be paid and 4% vacation. So those are changes that are coming in. Public safety and enforcement, emergency management, up 9%. 911 expenses, we have some revenue that usually comes in, and we budget 1,000 to go out. Bylaw enforcement. Yes, bylaw enforcement. So we did have some tickets this year, so that's why there's some revenue. Animal control usually doesn't change. We budget 4,300 for dog tags. Last year we didn't collect as much, and expenses stay relatively the same. Building department expenses, we're anticipating a 13% increase for some different training and also for costs on our vehicle maintenance. Building permit revenue, we anticipate that it will stay the same as last year, and cemetery operations, same as last year. Landfill and recycling, we're anticipating our revenues to stay the same at around $78,000 with stewardship and other scrap steel and user fees. Expenses, operations will stay probably around 50,000. The landfill study is budgeted at 135. That is also including the expansion at Bear Creek that we didn't use last year. So we had taken that from reserves, we put it back in reserves, we took it back out for reserves for this time. Long-term debt for the compactor, landfill machinery rental for the use of the compactor. Recycling operations, we anticipate will go up 2%, and household hazardous waste doubled as per the fees from the city of North Bay, but they're still very fair. Public Works. So in the revenue section for roads revenues, last year we sold 2 trucks. This year we're not selling any trucks, so it looks very bad, but that's why. Long-term debt proceeds, we had purchased 2 tandems last year. So that's what that's from for. And then this year, we're anticipating buying one truck, a pickup. So long-term debt payments for the trucks and the excavator come from our reserves. Garage materials, we anticipate spending 53,000. That includes the moving of the propane lines. Culvert materials, 35,000. Machinery rentals at 425. Our top maintenance materials at 4,500. Calcium, we anticipate 68,000, which is a 6% increase. Bridge study materials at 10,700. We have contacted HP Engineering to look at the Hummel Bridge.
Yeah.
And Powassan has committed to pay half of that fee. Rooftop maintenance materials at 75. Quarry gravel program at 40,000. The Alsace gravel program, we skipped the year, but we will be putting some into reserve. You'll see that on the reserve slide. The stockpile as well. Boundary Alsace Road gravel maintenance. Last year we had budgeted 75, we spent 52, we applied the gravel. This year we're budgeting 35,000, that's for the additional calcium, but we are not anticipating needing any more gravel at this time. We still haven't had any response from Powassan on surface treatment. We are still waiting to hear. Roadside cutting services, 8,500, ditching materials at 55, sign materials at 7, street light maintenance at 45, winter maintenance materials at 70, OSIF, and the gas tax or community building. That's to reseal sections 1 and 3 of Birch Grove that were surface treated previously, and also the emergency Bear Creek culvert replacement. And from the Nords grant that we received, we're going half with calendar for a Boundary Road culvert replacement on Hart Road, and we will still have some to place in reserve. Museum operations, structural, we're anticipating $6,200. That'll be to help us finish up. Hopefully we get the grant for the foundation. Special events, budgeting 15. None of these numbers have really changed from last year. We're hopeful. Candy and pop. Yeah, 2,000. So we did take the budget down for the candy and the pop because we did find the new suppliers, and we are going for lower quantities. Yard maintenance donations, the museum stays pretty much the same. Recreation operating, community center operations, we're anticipating a few more rentals hopefully this year. Fitness center operations, we changed some of the maintenance hours around. That should bring those costs down, but we anticipate an increase in memberships. Maintenance on the dock, boat launch, 5,000. Recreation programming, anticipating 12,500. Rink materials at 10, that'll be to replace some boards and look at some things. Canada Day event, 5,000. We've applied for a grant. We're still waiting to hear. Beaches, park maintenance at 10,000 and advertising at 250. Capital projects. Administration capital, 78,885. This is for the final stage of the town suite switch over for our software. That came from the modernization grant. We've just been moving it back and forth from reserve. It will not impact taxation. Came from the modernization reserve, and we've been holding on to it to finish that project. Fire department capital, 145,350. That's for the new SCBA units. 50,000 came from fire reserve for equipment. The rest came from the operating reserve, so it does not impact taxation. We have no capital projects for landfill at this time until we find out what's going on with the expansion. Public works for the 175, that includes roof replacement at the garage, which will come from reserve again. We had it scheduled for last year from reserves, and it will remain there. And the new truck. There's nothing scheduled for recreation capital at this time, and the museum capital project of 110,000 is for the foundation that is pending the grant only. So that won't impact taxation. Final page shows our reserves at this time. So as of January or December 31st of 2023, we had $3,875,799 in reserve. With the use for capital and single-use projects only for 2024, we anticipate at the end of 2024 to be at $3,594,906, using approximately $300,000. That still allows us to have 2.5 million in the GIC and gaining interest.
Yeah, it's pretty dry. Just first go through with that.
Yeah.
But you have it, can look at it. And again, if you have questions,
Please call.
Chris or particular departments, because they'll have more information than I would.
Now we're gonna move on to the capital budget, capital forecast. This is usually a 10-year forecast only because asset management has asked us to go that far. To be very clear, we move each year depending on what those projects are required.
Like, for example, the Bear Creek,
Right, no one anticipated that one.
no one anticipated that culvert failure, and now it's,
So our bridge study 2 years ago showed that it was in good shape. And this year with no water, we saw something different, so. But we do have the money in our reserves to be able to respond, and that is positive.
but the point is, that's why you need reserves. When something unexpected like that happens, if not, you're
Well, then we
borrowing.
have to go into finance and that would be impacting the tax rate. So this
Yeah.
way, we're protecting our tax rate.
It's cheap insurance.
And we invest it carefully so that we do reap some reserve money. So general government for capital, we're looking at replacing the municipal administration vehicle in 2025, depending on its state. It needed extensive repairs this year.
Yeah.
We share this with our building official and by law enforcement sometimes, whoever needs it, whatever department needs it. And in 2026, we were looking at painting the interior of the building, but again, we'll just see what's gonna happen there. For reserves, we always put away money for our computer server and replacements. They are expensive when they go. And municipal election, we're putting away $3,000, anticipating the election in 2026, and that just helps protect that tax rate. So those just continue on to 2034. Fire department capital. 2024, we're looking at year 5 of 5 for the pickup loan and year 5 of 5 of the UTV loan and the SCBA replacements, all which we're seeing in the budget. 2025, they're looking at different projects, and there was a question about contacting neighboring municipalities to work on different projects that may be possible, so we'll continue to investigate that. Mostly everything on 2024 will be coming from reserves, so it's not an impact on the tax rate. Next page shows the fire department reserves plan. It also shows the fleet plan. So for each one of our pieces of apparatus and our equipment, it shows the replacement year that we're anticipating. And in 2024 for reserves, we're putting away for large equipment 5,000, communications reserve 5,000, and fire apparatus reserve is 17,500.
The explanation on that for the communications reserve is that's the money that's going to the 911
It's-
rezoning
It's
thing.
for
that
the
they're doing?
towers for
Sorry, I
radio.
missed the question.
No, sorry, Chris, I
The
think answered it.
communications reserve amount is for,
The repeaters and the towers,
Okay,
because we have 2 repeaters that run, our communication runs fire and public works now.
oh, okay.
So when one of those breaks or goes down or needs replacement, we just have that to cushion that blow.
How many towers do we have? 3?
We have 2 towers that are connected,
Okay,
so we have communication throughout the whole township for fire and public works now.
you,
Landfill capital and reserves, 2027, we're looking at Bear Creek landfill. We've also asked Pension to come in and give an update. We do have some good news on our landfills. I don't want to say too much. We've gained maybe a couple of years on Bear Creek. The compactor's really doing well. We did the waste diversion reporting today and it went from, I forget, it was 7,000
It was 7,000,
to
yeah,
2,000
yeah.
for the waste. So that's how much it's compacting, so that it got flagged, so that was a good thing. So we'll let Pension come in and give those numbers, but that's looking positive, so we're hopeful that we can get a few more years than we had planned. So right now, that's why there's an asterisk there for the Bear Creek landfill closure rehabilitation. We know what the closure costs are gonna be and the post-closure costs. We do have an amount in reserve at this time for it, but we continue to add to that reserve each year, 25,000, and every 5 years, we're increasing the amount going to reserve. Public Works fleet plan. So this year, we have 3 tandem loans at this time. One is in year 4, one's in year 3, and one's in year 2. The excavator's in year 4, and then we'll have the new pickup truck going in this year. Payments for those loans all come out of reserve, so that protects our tax rate. We generate that revenue by renting the equipment from ourselves. That revenue then pays for any expenses, and anything left over goes into reserve for those payments going forward. We're looking at possibly greater in 2025, but again, we just look at how that equipment's doing. We don't go too far past that date, but we monitor the situation. Public Works projects for capital. This year, we're going to reseal Birch Grove Drive, phase 1 and 3. That's using grant money. Reline the culvert on Hart Road. Sorry, that should say Hart Road. We're doing half the calendar as it's a boundary, and we're using the NORDS grant for that. We're going to reline the Bear Creek culvert, and that is coming from the Building Canada Fund, which is formerly gas tax, the rest of the OSIP and reserves. So we're not impacting the tax rate with that either. The gravel runs and the reseal runs have been listed going forward over the next 10 years. Public Works fleet plan shows also the trucks that we anticipate replacing over the years. This goes with our asset management plan and our tangible capital asset schedule, which is all in the bylaw, based on how long we keep equipment. We have the reserves there. Half of the gravel run for 2025, we've budgeted in 2024 to put into reserves so that it's not a huge hit for next year. Cemetery capital. If we need the lawnmower this year, we've placed it in there, half for cemetery, half for recreation, because it is an expense. If we can get another year out of it, we will. I believe that's the way it's. We have to look at fencing for the Nipissing Union Cemetery, the old section, just along the highway. The Snowmobile Club has been working with us for the past couple of years to put up snow fencing during the winter season. So once we can put some fencing in there, that'll take care of that. And I've moved the survey for the Alsace Cemetery expansion to 2025, depending on what we can find out for the care and maintenance funds. And there's a reserve there for fencing, and we're going to need new fencing as we continue to expand the cemetery. So we'll just continue to put a little bit into reserve to help offset that cost.
you're just gonna fence on the roadside?
Yes. Recreation capital forecast, half of that lawnmower if required, and that will come from taxation. At this time, there's no other large projects to put into the capital forecast, but we are watching for grants because there are different projects that on the radar, but not until there's grant money involved. Recreation reserves plan, we have reserves started for the dock and boat launch, so that would cover the government dock, the Chapman's Landing dock, and the boat launch. So there was not a reserve when they transferred the dock to us. So we started one just one day that will have to be replaced. So we should have something in there. Community center building reserve. For any work that's required here, fitness center reserve is for the equipment. And the rink and playground heritage park reserve was started when we installed the playground for future replacement. And that just continues on for the 10 years. The capital and reserves plan, foundation repair is the priority. It's $110,000 was the RFP that we received. A trillion grant has been applied for. We're waiting to hear back. We will not move forward till we have the grant money. We have had an engineer in to inspect. We are okay to operate this year, and we will continue to hope for the grant. The heritage window repair also needs to take place, but we're also looking at grants moving forward for that. And we continue to put money into the building reserve for these types of projects. That is our project.
On our docks, do we ever put a coat of sealer on the decking?
We haven't yet,
No,
but we
probably
should look
would
at
help.
that. Yep.
Just to save the wood and
Yeah.
keep the water out of it.
And I'm looking, the one at Wade's has been, what,
2.
2 years?
Yeah,
2 years,
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
and it's all pressure treated, but not well done,
yeah.
so.
So if you seal
Might
it
be
up,
closer to 4 years.
4
Think
years.
so?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that when
I think so.
All right, I was there with Anthony.
So we do have a budgeted amount
Yeah.
for our docks and the boat launch. so
Yeah,
we
wouldn't
certainly
take
can.
long. That's,
Yeah.
we can get it done.
yeah,
And we've applied for student grant for public works student this year. We're still waiting to hear back.
Yeah.
And we've applied for 2 museum students. We've heard that we got one Canada.
One of the Canada grant ones.
They just haven't given us the specifics
Oh,
yet, so
okay.
we're hopeful. All right. So I think that was it for the presentation. We'll ask council to consider adopting the capital forecast. Moving forward.
Then mover and seconder, and again, we always say, like we said about that Bear Creek thing, this is a forecast and it will change. I hope not as much as the weather forecast, but it will change. So I need a mover and a seconder, Councillor Turkey and Councillor Yim.
I'm not sure if the machine rates were included in there. We had established new machine rates. Councillor Yum, I believe you had a copy. I gave you a copy the other day when we were talking, but I'm not sure if I gave everybody
I
else.
don't know if I brought it.
I've got
It's
some.
okay.
It's okay.
She's
I
got,
got some.
she has
Okay.
copies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I might have
So
had
we
one
did
given
do-
out, but
Compared to the MTO rates, but we did lower our rates going forward so that they will just go up $1 or $2 going into the season. So that we're still moving forward, but just not a large amount. I usually attach that to the end of the capital forecast. My apologies.
not a problem. I'll go back to the adopting the capital forecast, it's number R 2024-92. Moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Yim, that we adopt the 2024 capital forecast as presented. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next item on here is number 8. Donation request from the Commander Community Center. On April 2nd, this was deferred. We needed more information. We got more information since then, but then we got more information again today. And we also got more information last night at the rec meeting. And we know, and I know you said the date, I didn't write it down, but there's going to be
June 11th.
June 11th, there's going to be an election for the executive at the Commander Community Center. So we think it is wise to defer this until after the election. It just wouldn't be fair to do it at this time. So we'll wait for the election and see what the new or the newly elected Board of the Commander Community Center have at that time. So we will just defer that and speak to the executive after the election. Nope.
Sorry, this one.
Try this. I was reading this. Okay. This is number R 2024-93, an interim secretary. I need a mover and a seconder. Okay, Councillor Yam, Councillor Foot. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening. It's number R 2024-93, moved by Councillor Yam, seconded by Councillor Foot, that we appoint Tim Turnbull as interim secretary to the Nipissing Township Museum Board per bylaw 2023-11.3. All in favor? Okay. Unanimous.
Now we can go to the correspondence.
First one. First. Okay, first of all, minutes from the Nipissing Township Museum Board of Management, April 3rd. We've already had that. Excellent. Second, request for support from Magwood Highland Secondary School for their grad June 26th. Traditionally, we have given them $100. If you are willing, we'll give them $100 again this year. Okay, and that'll be on our next agenda. Request for donation to the Near North Crime Stoppers fundraising notice. We found again, it's cheaper to give them $100 than doing a hole or putting in a foursome of people that just lose balls and are rude to each other. So I would suggest that we give them a donation as per what we've done in the past. Okay. Notification under the special occasion permit from the Commander Community Center. They're hosting a fundraising dance April 20th, and that was already mentioned. And we always do.
Yep.
So that shouldn't be an issue. Now, the next two are the interesting ones. Resolution of support from the town of Goddard requesting the province not proceed with the recommended phase out of free private well testing in Ontario. Read it, I checked. We have one, maybe two a year that get the kits here. That's it. So I don't know if we want to support this or not. Yes.
This also affects all of those kitchens out there that have to be certified throughout the year for volunteer work.
They'll say no.
No, unfortunately, we have to pay for those from a private lab.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't count as part of this.
All of our water testing goes through a private lab. We pay for that.
Okay, I'm talking about volunteer kitchens throughout the community.
If you wanted to bake a pie,
If you want to bake a pie at home, you got to bring us your water test. Yeah.
That might fall into that part of it.
I put in a new well in order to get the house insured. Or in order to get the completion on the house, I have to well water test. I think we support this, and just my opinion. This is, like this is another provincial clawback, in my opinion.
government downloading.
Exactly, but it's downloading not only to communities, but it's downloading to the individual families now. Basically it's another tax.
And we will run into that every time somebody wants to bake a pie.
And it's another slap on rural Ontario.
Well, anybody that doesn't have community water, right,
Exactly.
to community.
So in my opinion, I would like to say we should endorse it.
Okay, we'll do that. And I didn't look at it, that scope of it, so I appreciate that. Councilor Turkey. Living on an island where I bring my water from the spring, and that way I don't bake any pies, you know?
Well, you know, at some point, they're gonna make, and I'm almost certain of this, those public springs that we know where they all are, we don't know where they all are.
No, but you're right. Yeah, I know where you're going with that. Okay. The other resolution, this is also going to, it's already been a couple before, it's also going to EMO. And this is big, arguing the review of the Ontario Works and Ontario Disability. I'd just like to suggest that I don't know where they go with this, but I would suggest that we let AMO take the lead on that. And we will be there and we can lend our support.
Yeah,
And then other than that, and they were busy in Goderich, all right. So if there's no other questions for correspondence, we'll accept it, I hope. So I need a mover and a seconder. Okay. You know that Shelley, one of you are gonna have to shoulder up with Shelley for,
Somebody's gotta help.
yep, now that
I got you back.
Tom's not with us. So Counselor Yam and Counselor Kirky. It's number R 2024-94, moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Kirky. Do we accept the correspondence as presented? All in favor? Carried. Now, the statement of accounts is big today, but also look over our own, but you'll also notice it's high because we've got
School board
school boards.
and the SCBA.
SCBA's too, right?
Yeah.
The SCBA's, and again, with the SCBA's, it's a huge expense. We all understand it. It's a requirement. It's gonna be a year from now. We're saving money now. And when they come up with not enough units next year, they're just gonna gouge people even more. So it's a hard pill to swallow, but I think a wise decision.
And they're good for 15 years, so we're gonna stay on top of it, so we'll be in better shape in the 15 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Here.
Well, we can build that reserve.
Be long.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
He's told. Okay, so, mover, Counselor Foot, thank you. And
Oh,
thank
Councillor
you.
Young stepped up.
Well, I'd already put Counselor Kirby down because he said he had your back, so. Number R 2024-95, moved by Counselor Foot, seconded by Counselor Kirby, the statement of accounts dated April 2nd and 11th, 2024, totaling $371,131.80 be approved. All in favor? Carried.
This would be really awkward if two of us said no.
I know. And the thing is, we can run into this as we move on, because now we're down to 4 people and tie
Just
breaking.
temporarily.
Yes, it's temporary and
We are putting out all of the notices tomorrow, so. Oh, and that was,
I did write it down if you want me to
go over that if I could.
go. So tomorrow, we're putting out the post on April 17th for a new counselor. We've done this 3 times in the past. Counselor Kirky knows firsthand the excitement of it all. So,
It was chilling. It was really cold outside when we were with
okay,
you.
well,
And it's funny because it's been 2 years
Almost to the
It
day.
was 21.
I was on for 17 months.
Yes, it
When
was
the
twenty
election-
twenty-one and it'll be 1 day short. It's weird,
Yeah.
the way that it went down, so. The way that this will happen is we will open it up for applicants to come in and fill out the package. Between now and Monday, May 6th at 3 PM will be the deadline. And we'll post everybody's name and submissions. We will be holding a special council meeting.
May 9th.
May 9th, Thursday, May 9th, beginning at 6:30 here at the community center. And that is when all of the applicants will have an opportunity to address council. Council will have an opportunity to ask them each. And we will draw by ballot for the replacement. And we did it with this timing so that the applicant replacing this seat will have an opportunity to speak on the budget before it gets passed, because that's only fair.
Yeah, because they're gonna take the heat over it as well, so might as well have a say.
If you're looking at your schedule, that's your Phenom week.
Yes, so you come back from
I
Phenom,
was just looking at it.
and that's the other piece, is we have an opening for Phenom, we have a registration and a room. We can't refund, so if there's another member of council that would like to go, and if not, a member of staff will attend.
Hey,
Steve's already going.
I'm already going in.
Yeah.
I'm going. I can't go. I'm going.
We could nominate a staff
Yeah.
member.
Okay, then we'll take care of it. Yep, thank you.
Oh, right, May 9th deadline, that's,
May 9th is the special council
Yes.
meeting. The deadline is Monday, May 6th.
Yeah, at 3 PM.
yes.
After that, we will certify the applicants and have the list out on the website the following morning.
This is a 6 o'clock meeting or 6:30?
6:30.
6:30, okay. And
You technology gurus. Okay, I've written it here in the book. But we'll move on. The confirming bylaw, I need a mover and a seconder, Councilor Kirkbian, Councilor Foot. It's number R 2024-96, moved by Councilor Kirky, seconded by Councilor Foot, that we pass bylaw number 2024-19, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on April 16th, 2024, read the first, second, and third time and passed the 16th day of April, 2024. All in favor? Carried.
$7:46, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, now I'm gonna move fast. Okay, moved by Councilor Yam. Councilor Foot. Number R 2024-97, moved by Councilor Yam, second by Councilor Foot. The meeting be adjourned at 7:46 PM. Next regular meeting to be held May 14th, 2024. All in favor? Carried with